The broken coffee machine Jake Morrison had always been good with broken things. Machines, computers, relationships that had gone sideways. If it was damaged, he could usually find a way to fix it. That's why he ended up on Station Epsilon 7, the furthest human outpost in the galaxy, where everything broke down at least twice a week, and the coffee machine had been plotting revenge since. The day it arrived, the morning everything changed, started like any other. Jake was crawling under the station's main computer terminal, trying to figure out why it kept displaying error messages in what looked like ancient poetry when he heard footsteps behind him. Not the heavy boots of the other engineers, or the soft shuffling of the research team. These were different. Elegant, purposeful. "Excuse me," a voice said, and Jake nearly hit his head on the terminal. The voice was like music, if music could somehow carry starlight in its tone. "I believe you are the one they call the miracle worker." Jake slid out from under the terminal and looked up. Then he forgot how to breathe. She was tall, graceful, with skin that seemed to shimmer with its own inner light. Her hair was silver white, flowing like liquid moonlight down her shoulders. But it was her eyes that stopped his heart. Deep, violet, ancient and knowing, like she carried the wisdom of 1,000 worlds. Her ears were pointed, elegantly curved, and when she moved, there was something almost otherworldly about her grace. "I'm Zara," she said, extending a hand that seemed to glow faintly. "I am Letharian. I have heard much about your abilities." Jake scrambled to his feet, suddenly aware that he was covered in grease and probably smelled like burned circuits. "Jake Morrison," he managed, shaking her hand and trying not to notice how her touch sent electricity through his entire body. "Though I'm not sure about the miracle worker part. I just fix things that other people have given up on." Zara smiled, and the station's lights seemed to grow brighter. "That is exactly what I need. Something that others have deemed impossible to repair." She led him through the station corridors, past the confused stares of other colonists. Jake couldn't blame them for staring. Zara was the most beautiful being he'd ever seen, alien or human. Her people, the Letharians, were known throughout the galaxy for their incredible beauty and intelligence. But Zara seemed to transcend even those legendary standards. They stopped at the station's botanical section, where a massive tree-like structure dominated the center of the room. It was clearly alien, with crystalline bark and leaves that shifted color like living prisms. But something was wrong. The crystal patterns were dark, the leaves brittle and fading. "This is a harmony tree," Zara explained, her voice sad. "It is the heart of our emotional bond network. When Letharians find their life partner, the tree connects their souls across any distance. But it has been dying for months, and our greatest minds cannot determine why." Jake walked around the tree, studying its structure. He could see the intricate network of crystal veins running through the bark, the delicate balance of energy that should have been flowing through its core. It was beautiful, complex, and completely unlike anything he'd ever worked on. "You want me to fix a tree that connects alien souls," he said slowly. "I usually work on things with instruction manuals." Zara stepped closer, and Jake caught a scent, like flowers blooming in starlight. "I have watched you work," she admitted quietly. "You do not just repair machines. You understand them. You feel what they need. This tree, it needs someone who can see beyond the obvious." Jake looked into her violet eyes and saw something that made his heart race. Hope, desperation, and something else. Something that looked almost like longing. "I'll try," he heard himself saying. "But I can't promise anything." Zara's smile could have powered the entire station. "That is all I ask." As Jake began examining the tree more closely, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was about more than just a repair job. The way Zara looked at him, the way she seemed to light up when he spoke, there was something deeper happening here. He just hoped he was skilled enough to fix whatever was broken. The heart of connection. Jake spent the next 3 days studying the harmony tree like it was the final exam for a degree he'd never earned. He ran scans, analyzed the crystal matrix, even tried talking to it, which felt ridiculous until he noticed the tree's energy patterns shift slightly when he spoke in a calm, encouraging voice. Zara visited him every day, bringing meals and watching him work with an intensity that made him nervous and excited at the same time. She would sit cross-legged beside the tree, her silver hair catching the light as she explained the deeper mysteries of Letharian bonding. When two Letharians connect through the tree, she said on the third day, they share more than thoughts or feelings. They share their very essence. Distance becomes meaningless. Time becomes fluid. They become two parts of one soul. Jake looked up from the quantum scanner he'd been running. That sounds incredible and terrifying. It is both, Zara agreed, which is why the tree's illness affects us so deeply. Without it, we cannot form new bonds. We cannot find our other half. There was something in her voice that made Jake set down his tools. Is that why you're here? Looking for your other half? Zara was quiet for a long moment, her fingers tracing patterns in the air above the tree's roots. I have been searching for 5 years, she said finally. I have traveled to 17 different worlds, met thousands of potential partners. The council grows impatient. They say I'm too particular, too demanding. What are you looking for? She looked at him then, and Jake felt like she was seeing straight through to his soul. Someone who sees the broken things in the universe and believes they can be made whole again. Someone who doesn't give up when others say something is impossible. Someone with a heart brave enough to try. Jake's mouth went dry. The way she was looking at him, the way her words seemed to describe exactly what he'd been doing his whole life. It couldn't be coincidence. Zara, he started, but she stood up suddenly, her composure returning like a wall, sliding into place. I should let you work, she said. The tree needs your full attention. That night, Jake couldn't sleep. He kept replaying Zara's words, the look in her eyes, the way she seemed to glow brighter when she was near him. He'd never believed in fate or destiny, but something about this felt bigger than coincidence. The next morning, he had a breakthrough. The tree's crystal matrix wasn't broken. It was blocked. Something was preventing the energy from flowing properly through its core. But when he tried to trace the blockage, his instruments couldn't detect anything physical. It's not a mechanical problem, he told Zara when she arrived with breakfast. It's emotional. She nearly dropped the plate she was carrying. What do you mean? Trees, even alien ones, respond to the emotional environment around them. This tree has been absorbing negative energy, doubt, fear, loneliness. It's all backed up in the core, preventing the harmony frequencies from flowing. Zara sat down heavily. The council has been meeting here for months, debating why the tree is failing. All of them frustrated, worried, some even angry. If the tree has been absorbing those emotions, it's been slowly poisoning itself, Jake finished. We need to clear the emotional blockage, but I don't know how to do that with a scanner and a wrench. Zara stood up, moving to place her hands on the tree's crystal bark. I do, she said quietly. But it requires a bonded pair to channel positive emotional energy directly into the core. The tree responds to genuine connection, to love freely given. Jake's heart started racing. But you're not bonded to anyone. She turned to face him, her violet eyes shimmering with unshed tears. No, she whispered, but I know what I feel. I know what my heart has been telling me since the moment I saw you fixing that computer terminal. The air between them seemed to crackle with electricity. Jake took a step toward her, then another, until they were standing close enough that he could see the flecks of silver in her violet eyes. Zara, he said softly, are you saying what I think you're saying? She reached up and touched his face, her skin warm against his cheek. I am saying that sometimes the heart knows things the mind hasn't caught up to yet. I am saying that you are the miracle worker, Jake Morrison. Not because you fix machines, but because you fix what others believe is beyond repair. Jake covered her hand with his, feeling the rightness of the moment settle around them like starlight. Including hearts? Especially hearts, she whispered. When? They leaned toward each other. The harmony tree began to glow. The healing touch, the moment Jake's lips touched Zara's, the entire botanical section erupted in light. The harmony tree's crystal bark blazed with inner fire, its leaves shifting through every color in the spectrum, and several that Jake was pretty sure didn't exist in human vision. Energy pulsed through the root system like a heartbeat, and the air itself seemed to sing. They broke apart, both breathing hard, staring at the tree in amazement. I think we found the solution, Jake said, his voice rough with emotion. Zara laughed. A sound like silver bells in starlight. The tree responds to genuine emotional connection. It has been starving for the very thing it was meant to facilitate. Around them, the other plants in the botanical section were beginning to perk up, as if the tree's renewed energy was feeding them as well. Jake couldn't stop staring at Zara, at the way she seemed to glow with happiness, at how right everything felt. So what happens now? He asked. I mean, with us. With the tree. With everything. Before Zara could answer, the door to the botanical section burst open. A group of Letharians swept in, led by an elderly male with silver robes and an expression of barely contained excitement. Jake recognized him from the colony briefings, High Counselor Theron, Zara's father, and the leader of the Letharian. Delegation, Zara. Theron called out, then stopped short when he saw the blazing tree. His eyes widened, taking in the pulsing light, the restored crystal patterns, the obvious health of the ancient organism. The tree ... it lives again. Yes, father, Zara said, stepping protectively closer to Jake. We found the source of the blockage. Theron's gaze shifted between his daughter and the human engineer, and Jake could practically see the pieces clicking into place in the older alien's mind. I see, he said slowly. And I assume this discovery required personal sacrifice? Jake felt heat rise in his cheeks, but Zara lifted her chin defiantly. It required truth, father. The tree was dying. From emotional starvation. It needed to witness genuine connection to remember its purpose. And you provided this ... connection ... with a human? The way Theron said human made it clear he wasn't entirely pleased with this development. Jake started to step back, to give. Zara spaced to handle her family politics, but she caught his hand and held it firmly. I provided it with my heart's choice, she said clearly. Jake Morrison is the one I have been searching for. The tree has confirmed it. Theron studied Jake. For a long moment, his ancient eyes seeming to look straight through him. Jake tried to stand straighter, to look like someone worthy of the most beautiful being in the galaxy. But mostly he just felt like a grease-stained engineer who was way out of his depth. You understand, Theron said finally, that bonding with a Letharian is not a casual commitment. Our connections run deeper than human relationships. When the tree links two souls, they become permanently intertwined. Distance, time, even death cannot break that bond. Jake's mouth went dry. Permanently? Forever, Zara said softly, squeezing his hand. In joy and sorrow, in peace and conflict, in this life and whatever comes after. It is not a decision to make lightly. Jake looked at the glowing tree, at the other Letharians watching him with curious expressions, at Zara's father, who clearly had reservations about this whole situation. Then he looked at Zara, at her violet eyes full of hope and fear and something that looked like forever. I've spent my whole life fixing broken things, he said quietly. Machines, systems, problems that other people gave up on. But I've never found anything that wasn't broken. Until now. He turned to face Theron directly. I don't know much about your culture, or your bonding rituals, or how any of this is supposed to work. But I know that Zara makes me want to be better than I am. She makes me believe in things I never thought possible. If that's not worth fighting for, worth committing to forever, then I don't know what is. Theron's stern expression softened slightly. And what of your human life? Your work. Here? Your people? Jake glanced around the room, at the station that had been his home for 3 years, at the life he'd built fixing things in the furthest reaches of space. This is my people now, he said. Wherever Zara goes, that's where I belong. The High. Counselor nodded slowly, then moved to place his hands on the harmony tree. The crystal bark pulsed brighter, and Jake could swear he heard something like music in the air. The tree accepts you, Theron said, wonder in his voice. In all my years, I have never seen it respond so strongly to a potential bonding. It seems my daughter's heart has chosen wisely. Zara's smile could have powered the entire station for a year. Does this mean? It means we prepare for a bonding ceremony, Theron said. Though I suspect we will need to make some ... adjustments for our human participant. Jake felt a moment of panic. What kind of adjustments? Zara laughed and pulled him closer. The kind that will make this the most interesting bonding ceremony in Letharian history. As the other Letharians began excitedly discussing preparations, Jake realized his quiet life of fixing broken machines was about to become something much more complicated, and he couldn't wait. The ceremony of souls, bonding ceremony, took 3 days to prepare, which Jake spent in a state of barely controlled panic and excitement. Zara tried to explain the process to him, but it was like describing colors to someone who'd been blind their whole life. The tree will create a bridge between our minds, she said, as they walked through the station's corridors, now filled with Letharians preparing for the ceremony. You will feel what I feel, know what I know. For a moment, we will be truly one being. Jake stopped walking. That sounds intense. It is the most intimate thing 2 beings can share, Zara agreed. There will be no secrets between us afterward. No hidden thoughts or feelings. Are you prepared for that level of truth? Jake thought about his life, his past relationships that had failed because he'd never been able to fully connect with someone. His habit of throwing himself into work to avoid dealing with emotions. The idea of complete emotional transparency was terrifying, but it was also exactly what he'd been looking for without knowing it. I'm ready, he said, and meant it. The ceremony took place in the station's main observation deck, with the harmony tree transported there in a special containment field. The tree had grown even more brilliant over the past few days, its crystal bark now pulsing with steady rhythms that Jake could feel in his heartbeat. Dozens of Letharians filled the space, their formal robes shimmering in the tree's light. Jake wore the closest thing he could find to formal wear, his cleanest jumpsuit and a jacket that Zara had somehow made look elegant just by smiling when she saw him in it. High Counselor Theron stood before the tree, his hands raised to catch the light from its crystal branches. We gathered to witness the joining of 2 souls, he intoned in a voice that seemed to harmonize with the tree's energy. Zara of House Luminara, daughter of stars and keeper of ancient wisdom, and Jake Morrison of Earth, mender of broken things, and healer of wounded hearts. Jake felt a flutter of nervousness. The formal language made everything sound so official, so permanent. But when he looked at Zara, radiant in her ceremony robes that seemed to be made of captured starlight, all his doubts evaporated. The tree will now judge the truth of your connection, Theron continued. Approach and place your hands upon its heart. Zara moved first, placing her palms flat against the tree's central crystal. The light pulsed brighter, and Jake could see patterns of energy flowing through the crystal matrix like liquid fire. She looked back at him, her violet eyes encouraging. Jake stepped forward and placed his hands beside hers. The moment his skin touched the crystal, the world exploded. He was flying through space, seeing the galaxy through Zara's eyes as she searched, world after world for someone to complete her. He felt her loneliness, her growing despair as her people pressured her to choose a mate from among the suitable candidates. He experienced her first glimpse of him, crouched under a computer terminal, and the immediate recognition in her heart, not love at first sight, but something deeper, a sense of coming home. Then he was back in his own memories, but experiencing them through her perception. She saw his gentle patience with broken machines, his refusal to give up on things others had discarded, his hidden kindness that he tried to disguise as practical necessity. She felt his loneliness too, his sense of being disconnected from others, his secret hope that somewhere in the vast universe was someone who would understand him completely. The tree's light blazed brighter as their memories and emotions swirled together, creating something new. Jake felt Zara's thoughts merge with his own, felt her presence settle into his mind like she'd always belonged there. He could sense her wonder at the connection, her joy at finally finding the person she'd been searching for. The tree has accepted the bond, Theron announced, his voice full of awe. Never have I seen such a perfect compatibility between two souls. But Jake barely heard him. He was lost in the sensation of being truly known, truly understood, for the first time in his life. Through the bond, he could feel Zara's love for him, pure and overwhelming and completely genuine. And he could sense her feeling his love in return, his absolute commitment to her and their future together. The ceremony continued with traditional Letharian rituals, the exchange of crystal tokens that would always glow in each other's presence, the sharing of water from their respective home worlds, the formal presentation to the gathered witnesses. But for Jake, the important part was already over. He was bonded to Zara now, connected to her in ways that made his previous understanding of love seem like a pale shadow dot as the celebration began around them. Zara pulled him aside to a quiet corner of the observation deck. "How do you feel?" she asked, though through their new bond, she could probably sense his emotions better than he could. "Like I've been walking around half-blind my whole life and just got perfect vision," Jake said. "Is this what it's always like for your people? This level of connection?" "Only with our bonded mate," Zara said, reaching up to touch his face. "This is what I dreamed of finding. This is why I searched for so long." Jake covered her hand with his, marveling at how even this simple touch now carried deeper meaning. "So what happens now? Do we go to your home world? Do you stay here?" "We go wherever we're needed," Zara said. "Together. The tree is healed, but there are other broken things in the universe that need our attention." Jake grinned. "A traveling repair service for the galaxy's broken hearts?" "Something like that," Zara agreed, her smile lighting up the entire room. Through their bond, Jake could feel her certainty about their future, her excitement about the adventures ahead, her complete confidence in their ability to face whatever challenges came their way. And for the first time in his life, he felt the same way. The new beginning 6 months later, Jake found himself in the strangest repair shop in the galaxy. Their ship, the Harmony's Edge, was part laboratory, part workshop, and part mobile bonding center. They traveled from system to system, fixing broken Harmony trees, helping other species develop their own connection rituals, and generally spreading the kind of love that Jake had once thought only existed in fairy tales. He was currently elbow-deep in a Centaurian emotion amplifier that had been making everyone within a 50-mile radius fall in love with their own feet when Zara entered the workshop. "How is our patient?" she asked, settling beside him with a natural grace that still made his heart skip. "Confused," Jake said, not looking up from the delicate crystal array. "I think someone tried to fix it with a plasma torch. It's going to take surgery to repair." The empathy circuits. Through their bond, he felt Zara's amusement. "Perhaps we should suggest that not all repairs require brute force." "Hey, I resent that. I use very sophisticated brute force." Zara laughed, the sound still capable of making the ship's lights flicker with sympathetic harmonics. Over the past months, Jake had learned that their bond affected technology in unexpected ways. Machines seemed to respond to their emotional connection, working better when they were happy, humming with contentment when they worked together. "I have news," Zara said, and Jake caught the edge of excitement through their link. "The Council has requested our assistance with a new project." Jake set down his tools and turned to face her. "Good news or challenging news?" "Both. They want us to visit Earth." Jake's heart jumped. He hadn't been back to his home world since joining the colony program 5 years ago. "Why Earth?" "Humans are developing their own connection technologies," Zara explained. "Dating apps, social networks, virtual reality relationships. But they're missing the emotional component. The Council thinks we might be able to help them create something more meaningful." Jake considered this. Humans trying to engineer love the way they approached every other problem, with algorithms and efficiency metrics. "They want us to teach Earth about heart-based technology?" "They want us to show them what real connection looks like," Zara corrected. "Starting with us?" Through their bond, Jake could sense the deeper implications. This wasn't just about technology. It was about proving that human-alien relationships could work, that love could transcend species barriers, that the future of the galaxy might depend on beings learning to truly connect with each other. "It's going to be complicated," he said finally. "Humans don't handle change well, especially when it challenges their assumptions about relationships and technology." "Then it's a good thing we specialize in fixing complicated things," Zara replied. Moving to wrap her arms around him, Jake leaned into her embrace, still marveling at how perfectly they fit together. Through their bond, he could feel her confidence in their mission, her excitement about the challenges ahead, her absolute certainty. At whatever they faced, they would face it together. "There's one more thing," Zara said quietly. "The Council wants to make this official. They're offering us a formal position as ambassadors of connection." Jake pulled back to look at her. "That sounds important. It means we'd be responsible for facilitating bonding ceremonies for mixed-species couples throughout the galaxy. We'd be the proof that love doesn't recognize boundaries." Jake thought about his old life, fixing coffee machines and computer terminals in the far reaches of space, content to work alone on problems that had clear solutions. Then he thought about their life now, traveling between worlds, helping beings find the connection they craved, being part of something bigger than himself. "Do you want to do it?" he asked, though through their bond, he could already sense her answer. "I want to do it with you," she said. "I want to show the galaxy what we've found. I want to help others experience this kind of happiness." Jake kissed her then, soft and sweet, feeling their bond pulse with shared joy. Around them, the ship's systems hummed with contentment. The lights flickered in rhythm with their heartbeats. And somewhere in the workshop, the Centauran emotion amplifier finally started working properly. "Ambassadors of connection," Jake said against her lips. "I like the sound of that. Even though it means dealing with bureaucracy, interspecies politics, and beings who think love can be quantified?" "Especially because of that," Jake replied. "After all, I'm good at fixing broken things. And if there's one thing the galaxy needs, it's better ways to connect." Zara smiled, the expression bright enough to power a small moon. "Then let's go fix the universe's love life." As their ship changed course toward Earth, Jake realized that he'd finally found his true calling. Not just fixing machines, but fixing the broken connections between hearts across the galaxy. With Zara by his side and their bond strengthening. Every day, he was ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. The universe was full of broken things, waiting to be healed, and they had all the time in the worlds to fix them. The end.